Hi, this is Dr. Wooten. In this presentation, I'm going to work on the solutions manual for the statistics in our book I have. So we have here the textbook. Let's go and look at the first chapter. Apparently I started the solutions. We may look at that. Let's go and look at what updated and see what I have in terms of solutions. Alright, so I have one whole section completed. So let's look at the next section. Let's get R running. Alright, so number one, create a control panel where you declare the sample size n to be 5. Okay, so we'll put our comment mark that this will be our control panel, and we declare n equals 5. And we're going to run this as a set. I don't know if I did that before. No, those are distinct questions. Alright, let's go ahead and notice I have everything in red, so we'll run this line of code. Do I have the errors? I do. So we'll come and pick this up. Alright, so it says run these two vector arrays. So I'm going to go ahead and number this. This is going to be so let's see. Notice they gave us all the cleanup. So if I run these two, then they want us to run the sum of these two, the sum of the two variables. Yes. So then we'll have not only the code, but the other was oh, I see. Can't have that space there. So when I copied and pasted it over, it included an extra space. Alright, the only thing I can think of is that sometimes it changes the characters slightly. It does this with quotes as well. There we go. Okay. So apparently what happens is if you copy straight from the book, what's typed as a less than or and a hyphen does not appear as the same symbols in R, so you have to watch that kind of stuff. I don't need a number here. Alright, given the problem, the x in the previous question, compute the sum of x and name it sum of x, and compute the sample size and name it n. Okay. Compute the sum of x and name it. Okay, so sum dot x equals the sum of x. Compute the sample size, so n would equal the length of x. And compute the sample mean and call it. Okay, so x dot bar equals the sum dot x divided by n. And that's what we needed for this question, so I'm going to run this. And now notice it didn't tell me what x bar is, so I'm going to go ahead and say x dot bar and run it. So x dot bar is 3.2. So if I add this to the question, so let's see, then show the value of x bar in the console. Alright, so I'm going to make this bold as well. Doesn't like the word, so it's not giving me the option to make it bold. Alright, so if I add it here, I also need to add it in the text. Alright, given x and y in the previous questions, compute the sum of the products. Compute the product of the sum. Sum of the products. Okay, so we have two different questions here. And we probably want to just go ahead and come over here. So the sum of the product is different than the product of the sum. So let's see what say. Probably should say product of the sums. Individual. That is the sum of x and the product of the sum of y of x and the sum of y. Alright, so now that makes sense. We want the sum of x times the sum of y. And we have to remember that R is case sensitive. We can't type in a capital. Had we done that in Excel, it would have been fine. Alright, so what do we have? Alright, given x in the previous question, create a data frame with the three variables. I might have said what the data frame should be called. Create a data framed name. Data with the three variables. So that if I come over here and change it again, to make this one large as well. I'm holding the control button and using the scroll button bar in the middle of my mouse. Alright, let's erase to see if we can finish these real quick so before 15 minutes is up. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll answer all the questions and then we'll come back and change it. So we want this and this. So there's only 7 problems. Problem 5. We want to, alright, create the data frame. So data is a data frame that consists of x, y, and x times y. But we want the names of these data frames, the name of the data to equal a column of information, namely x, y, and we'll call the third one z. Oh, names. So we'll come over here. So you always want to run your code because even though I could have just given the answer, the problem with that is if I make a silly typo like that, I would not catch it if I didn't run it. Alright, so we're going to pick this up and we're going to remember that it has silly errors in it. So what is the, okay, so paste it here and remember the missing parenthesis, but we need to change this and retype it. So they want to know what is x squared, what is 1 over x, rounded to the first decimal, so round x to the first decimal, round x to the nearest, up to the nearest integer. Okay, so we're going to call that ceiling, and then e would be, so I'm going to go ahead and label this. This is A. This one is B. Now notice I'm labeling it afterwards because if I label it beforehand, then the whole line of code wouldn't run. So by labeling it at the end, it'll run the code, and then everything after that is just a comment. Alright, where am I? A, B, C, D. I'm missing one. Oh, square root. So this is D, Z, and square root. So now there's two ways we could have done square root. We could do square root, or we could do x to the power of a half. So we'll run these lines of code, including the initiation, and there we have it. Oh, that's not what I want. Now I may move these to the individual questions later. I have one more. Distinguish between writing, found, okay. So this is more of a typed question. Rounding is conventional in that more than half round up, and less than half round down. Whereas ceiling is round up. It ignores the mathematical convention. Floor is round down, regardless of how close you are to the next integer. And truncate is not rounding at all, but simply ignoring the decimals. That we mean after a certain point. So that's the general gist of it. We go ahead and save this, Control S. So that's the presentation for today. I got one section of the solutions manual written. I've got a whole bunch more to go. Let's see, just in chapter 1, we have 4 more sections to go. This is section 2. Alright, look forward to seeing you next time.